I don't have time to have this conversation the way you need me to. You weren't ready? Leave it there.
Why the fuck not?
What is it that you do that you're the best in the world at? You offer a service you didn't invent, a formula you didn't invent, a delivery method you didn't invent. Nothing about what you do is patentable or a unique user experience.
What's interesting about this clip is that Axe is running a masterclass in what it means to be an entrepreneur. See, you have to solve a problem and you have to do something that's so wildly unique that the marketplace wants to jump across the table and buy your product or service. And he's telling his wife, hey, you didn't do anything patentable, you don't have a brand, you didn't invent anything, nothing about what you're doing is unique. And I think it's a great reminder for business people, when you start something or as you're building something, you have to have something that is fully yours. It can't be duplicatable, it's not copyable. You have to invent a process or a product, something that is uniquely different about your product. That's the asterisk in business. So how do I know my product or service is gonna scale and be unique? This is how.
But I do respect everyone in this room because I know each and every one of you has a portfolio of accomplishments that sets you apart, proves your exceptional qualities.
And I assume that goes for you too.
Well, unlike you, I'm not embarrassed to say it.
As I'd expect, because I know your story as much as you know mine, how you came from nothing.
Yeah, it's true. Your dad was an insurance salesman. You ate dinner with him every night. My dad was gonzo. I ate dinner wherever I could.
And yet you were still in the wealthiest state and the wealthiest country in the world, with access to the best healthcare, schools, infrastructure. And you were born white and male. At a time, that was a huge advantage in the greatest capital market in the history of mankind. The roads were paved for you, Bobby, which is why you were able to move so quickly across them.
Wow. I knew you were racked with guilt, but this takes it to a whole different level. Sure, the roads were paved, but I didn't even have a goddamn car. Now, you see, this is where we are different. I don't pretend I'm an ordinary guy got lucky. I am a monster. A carnivorous fucking monster.
There's two things about this video that I think are interesting. One, I hate how our culture has shifted from everybody gets a trophy. Like, I watch my kids in sports and the whole team gets a trophy and everybody gets an award. And I think that's just false. I think we need to, as a country, as an entrepreneurs, recognize excellence. And in this clip, Bobby is talking about everybody's portfolio and saying, you guys earn my respect. I might not like you, but you've earned my respect because their deeds are such that they've earned a lot of money. And because they've earned a lot of money, they've had to have discipline, work hard, think, and just have a strategy in life. And so I really love the idea of people who are exceptional being actually recognized for being exceptional. The other thing that's really interesting is he says, I am a monster. And I identify with that and can see that in other CEOs that I meet who've had a lot of success. Meaning, if there's a CEO that I meet and they've had a ton of success, typically they are crazy, disciplined, they're ruthless, and a bit dangerous to the point where, like, I can see it, I can recognize it, I have it, I know you have it too.
I bet, but first I figured out where the sharp action was, where the guys who had a plan were. Guys who grinded, take the guesswork out of it. They knew which drivers had been rested, they knew which horses were ready. They also knew which ones were on last legs.
How'd you meet those guys?
I didn't at first. But I figured out that they always bet late and they bet heavy. So I started watching that instead of that. The numbers told the story, they always do.
In this clip, Bobby Axelrod actually tells us how to be in business and where to go. So it's really cool because one, he's saying, I was following the guys who had a plan, the people who were thinking and had a strategy. Second, he was like, look, the sharp action was me paying attention to the scoreboard and not the entertainment. And see, this is an issue in business. Most people want to be entertained and tell a story, and yet the greats, people like Bobby, people like you, you're paying attention to the data inside your business so that you can win and follow the sharp action.
You ever get tired of working for a living?
Every damn day. But I've got a nasty addiction called money, so I do what I do. You?
No, never. Until today. You know, they call us traders gamblers. The world economy is just one big casino, fueled by a giant debt bubble and computer-driven derivatives. There's only one thing better than being a gambler in a casino.
That's being the house.
That is right. There's a systemized machine out there, sucking capital from localities and injecting it into the global markets where it can be used to speculate and manipulate. And if something goes wrong, there are bailouts and bail-ins, federal aid and easing, where the government doesn't hunt you down, but instead gives you a nice soft net to land in.
That's your answer to the fireside chat. You want to become a bank.
I want to become a bank
In order to rob it?
in order that I don't have to.
I love this clip. One thing about my entrepreneurial journey is that I've always been suspect of banks. I've never taken large loans, a line of credits, or been at the mercy of having to report to a bank. And this is a thing that most business people don't understand. A great entrepreneur will create a model with their business that doesn't need a bank and will be self-sustaining in terms of growth and scale. And so what's really important is to know the banks are not your friends. They are in business and they are the house. The system is rigged for them to always win. And so be very cautious and careful when you utilize banks. The last point, and I think it's really interesting here, is entrepreneurs too often store their receipts in, shoe boxes, don't have records, aren't producing normal financial reports. It's really important that you run your business as if you're going to exit tomorrow. Everything is in order, all your financials are reported, all your contracts, all your insurance is up to date, your licenses are there, because you never know what's gonna happen. And so in this video, he's like, Bobby is saying, hey, I wanna become a bank because the system is rigged in the bank's favor, and that's a big deal, and you should understand and know that.
Here's my breakdown of each analyst's performance. I've ranked them. And if we want to follow the old GE model of removing the bottom 10%, it does, unfortunately, mean someone has to be let go. And you can see from the bottom box who. So I'll tell HR and...
Wait a sec. You're doing it off the chart?
The chart makes it clear.
And right before bonus time. That's cold. Even by my standards.
Yeah, that's not how we do it here. On paper, not like that. Asymmetrical returns, right? Not just in the stocks, but in our people too. I need you to sit down with each one of them. I want you to probe for their strengths and for their weaknesses. I want you to figure out who's going to outperform your data and who has already had his best year.
Sitting with everyone so they can equivocate and explain away what's already been shown clearly seems inefficient.
Taylor, I know you come from analytics, and I know that the numbers are where you live, but you got to learn the other piece too. There's a small group who can do the math. There's an even smaller group who can explain it. But those few who can do both, they become billionaires.
I love this point, and this particular point has been proved over and over and over in my life and also in the other CEOs that I know. So usually in business, you can tell which one is which. Like most people get what they want through one of those two areas. Like I understand data, I can run spreadsheets, I can kind of see a linear process, and so I can squeeze that process and make profits. The other person is I can lead people, I can influence people, I can motivate them, and so I'll just get the right group of people around me and I'll motivate them to have them help me do what I need to do. Now, the challenge is both of those individual strengths have weaknesses because they're not looking at the other side of things. And so Axe perfectly points out what a great leader, a person that turns into a billionaire, does well. They understand the data, the linear, the thought process, and they know how to influence and manage and motivate people. And so the combination is unstoppable. What I watched Bobby do was have and lead this world-class team, meaning every single person on his team was a 10 out of 10. Wendy, Wags, like everybody, his lawyer, his investigator, these people were just the best of the best. And I think that's important because as we're building entrepreneurial things, you, me, anybody out there, you need to find your 5 generals and empower them and then lead them. really, really well, that's how you build real wealth. The interesting thing is if you don't see yourself in those qualities, then your job is to go out and find a general or find somebody like Bobby to add your talents to theirs so that together you can win. And it's really important. If you're not a monster, if you're not an entrepreneur, go find your monster, go find your entrepreneur so you can add value and grow your wealth. So this is a reaction video. I'd love to have your reactions to your best clips from Billions in the comments. I'm curious. What did I miss? What's out there that you find Bobby Axelrod doing that really displays what it means to be an entrepreneur?